Bill 636, I agree with what Senator Zorn said in introducing the bill. The goal should be to speed up broadband deployment so that more people can have it. And you know, the two previous speakers covered in a lot more detail than I could what the problem is. I think the only thing I'd really like to add on that one, other than echoing what they've said, is this is something the Federal Communications Commission in Washington is looking at too. That you know, we hear about how the Federal Communications Commission is so divided. Well, by unanimous vote earlier this year, they started a notice of proposed rulemaking with the purpose to, quote, accelerate wireline broadband deployment by removing barriers to infrastructure investment, and is currently collecting information. The FCC is currently collecting information on what's going on at the state level. Now, that's all at the federal level. I think, you know, out of federalism issues, I think it's better that the state be addressing it in advance. So I do commend the committee for taking that up and, you know, providing more certainty. You know, that is an important step in making sure that wireline broadband deployment is sped up and available to more people. On the other bills, Senate Bill 636, the FCC is also looking at that. They have a separate notice of proposed rulemaking where they're collecting information on barriers to wireline deployment at the state and local level. So that's something being considered there as well. Again, I'd make the same point. I'm glad you're taking it up here. You know, Senator Hume actually covered a lot of what I was going to cover in his very first statement. So I think the one point I'll just add is on economic impact of it. There are some projections out there that I'm not going to fully vouch for, but I think are very reasonable, that wireline deployment should produce about $500 billion in economic growth, lead to about $275 billion in additional investment, and create about 3 million jobs during the process of the deployment over the next few years. Now, you know, that's nationwide. Just doing a quick back-of-the-envelope calculation, Michigan accounts for about 3% of U.S. GDP. So if we multiply those by 3%, that's about $15 billion in economic impact in Michigan and 90,000 more jobs. You know, if these projections are even halfway right, you know, you can see how important this is. And, you know, economic benefits delayed are economic benefits lost. So, you know, again, I commend the committee for taking them up. Senator Shirkey asked earlier about what other states are doing, and yes, there are about 20 states that are looking at this, as well as the FCC. The bill I was most familiar with before the Michigan bill was the one in Arizona, which passed and was enacted, you know, just a couple of months ago. And I didn't go through carefully line by line or anything approaching that, but it looks like Bill 637 is very similar to what Arizona did and has in fact passed now. You know, other states are looking at them. You know, the details vary from state to state on what they're doing, and I'm not really going into the details on it, but what they do have in common, as other states are looking at it, is that they're looking for providing access to municipal properties, reasonable costs and fees, and streamlined permitting. And I believe these bills on both the wireline and the wireless front do both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? No? Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate it very much.